Ladies and gentlemen, people listening and watching, you are tuning into the Let's Walk podcast. It's been a while since our last podcast, and today I have a wonderful guest with me. We have been planning for some time. I got connected, I think, maybe 2 to 3 years back, but I'm glad that we are having this face-to-face conversation. Today, I have with me Shashank Nimkar ji, and he is the founder of Tatva Earth or Earth Tatva. If I'm getting that the other way around, let me just confirm that. That's so. Yeah, Earth Tatva. Yes, I'm right. So he has been doing some crazy work in regards to sustainability, and I heard like recycled mugs. I was like, are people going to drink from those mugs? Like, do you really think people are going to drink from those mugs? But Naresh ji, one of our mutual friends, he was like, you should know about the story and everything. So I felt, let's get him on the podcast and speak with him face to face. So Shashank ji, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and let's dive in and see where we can take this conversation.
Yes, thank you. Happy to be here.
So Shashank ji, the first and foremost, the question that I think most people might be thinking that you are using ceramics, and people know where ceramics are used, right? In the industry, like everything is made out of. There are plates out of ceramics. There is like sanitary ware made out of ceramics. Ceramics is everywhere, and then sometimes when people like furnish homes, they break home, or like or they're like trying to reconstruct. Everything is thrown away. So like where is this ceramic being sourced from, and are people aware that they are drinking from this ceramic?
Yes. So we source from post-industrial waste, uh, which is not used by anyone, and it's basically a production reject from the manufacturing unit after the firing process. And we have to do this because ceramics does not biodegrade, and archaeology is basically based on this fact. Because when we excavate any ancient site, the first thing that we usually find across is the broken shards of pottery, ceramic toys, and idols and utensils. So, and today we have so much of waste coming out from the industry, and that's what we are addressing.
Perfect, perfect. So Shashank ji, maybe I want to dive into your like childhood or somewhere in school or somewhere in college, maybe where you felt that I need to look into design, because maybe we can jump into design, and then maybe we can go on to this problem, because this is how from your story, from what I've heard from others, reading articles and all. So can you tell a little bit about your childhood? Like, were you the kind of student who was like playing in the ground, or were you the one who was like probably coloring in the class, or you're like painting, drawing, or something like that? So can you tell a little bit about your childhood?
I was always very interested in crafts, working with different materials, especially with paper as an art form. But yes, I used to do a lot of sports as well. And I mean, I used to do more craft during exam days than my usual days. So that was something that I was always pulled towards, and that was my go-to thing to for I basically experience flow when I do any kind of craft activities, and I don't realize how much time is passing by.
So, were you fascinated? Did you have like those people who used to come during summer or before vacations, or during like just before weekends, and they used to like make different things out of paper and do that, and they used to show the children, and we used to buy those color papers, make origami, do different tricks. Were you like into that?
Yes, to some extent, yes. In fact, many of my friends used to hang out at my place during our SUPW project, where it was essentially towards craft, and I perhaps was making their projects on their behalf.
Wow, wow. So because this is something that interested me as a child as well. We used to have like we used to call them magicians, because we never knew there was like art. We was like like different color papers, and he's like pulling out, and it's like a like sometimes it's like a garland, sometimes it's like a some sort of like a showpiece or something like that. And sometimes you are trying to make a bear out of like origami paper or something like that. So it's really good to see how this artsy side of yours came in. So how did you make the decision that maybe I want to pursue this full time, and not it just be like a hobby or something like that?
So, during one of our library periods in school, I read this line in some random book uh, that I think Albert Einstein had mentioned it. I don't remember exactly who, but some well-known scientist. The line was that I have never worked a single day in my life. It was all fun. And that struck me really deep because I saw a lot of grown-ups around me at that age while I was in school. And most of them were not happy with their jobs. And I also heard parallelly that we spend around 80% of our time at work. So I thought, why are people not happy? Why are humans not happy in life in general? And I don't want to become like this when I grow up. So over time, I thought what I am enjoying doing. What if that becomes my profession and it would be so much fun? I get paid for what I enjoy doing.
I'm glad that that has turned into reality from your library days to where probably people are reading Tinkle and different comics. Some people reading Harry Potter. I was always a Tinkle boy, so from that to now, like it is like a full circle. So I'm glad. And how were your days learning design and in design school? Because some people say like I did went to design school, but a lot of the things which I learned were like on-site projects or like I've done freelance. Some people say you don't need a design school. Like nowadays, people say you don't even need school. Do open school. So like, how was your thought process? Maybe like should I go into engineering or take in design like on the side, or like how did you like process that?
Yeah. So interestingly, during our, I think, 11th class in school, I joined these engineering entrance coaching classes with my friends because all my friends eventually ended up becoming engineers, but I didn't intend to be like that. But I somehow joined that coaching. And in the first term that we have in school, in 11th class, all of us failed. And that was the time when I left that coaching. And then somehow through conversations and my experiences, I decided I would pursue animation for my undergrad. And that's how my journey for my undergrad entrance exam began. And
And
in terms of college, you were asking, I think for me it was a big blessing because uh, to get these structured inputs in terms of what all is possible, also getting access to the community of peers and seniors and the mentors as well, from this particular field and from other disciplines of design itself as well. It just opened my mind about different possibilities and different applications of my interest. Like, for example, when I got into animation for real, I had no clue how would I actually navigate the path because I was told that for animation we need really good sketching skills. And I was not someone who would naturally do good sketching because I was more into crafts. I didn't do a lot of sketching or observe my surroundings and uh, doodle whenever I am free. That didn't come naturally to me, but when I was in the second year of my undergrad, I came across this thing which is called stop motion animation. And then it clicked me that I can actually make miniature figurines out of different materials, move them frame by frame, click the pictures, and then it becomes a stop motion animation. And that was a big revealing moment for me. And then I pursued that as my specialization for undergrad. And it was so much fun because I could do craft and I can still tell a motion picture storytelling through it.
do you remember those cartoons? Maybe I'm not sure if you have watched them, but looking back, if you see some figures from Toy Story or like other cartoons, you'll feel like they are made out of like soft drink bottles or something like that. Or some of the cartoons that probably we have seen like years ago. You feel like I mean, I realize now, like after hearing you and like speaking to one of like the artists. His name is Dheeraj, and he makes art out of waste, basically. And I've had the
Okay.
pleasure of speaking him on the podcast. And he makes like different like figures. He makes his own characters and their movies from like waste, like completely like from used CD hardware, everything. So looking back into those cartoon, I feel like when you start from a blank paper, you have clearly no idea like what should my character look like, how should he it should be like a boy or a girl, or like how tall or short should it be. But when you have like a specific tin cans or something like that, you feel like, okay, fine, this will be the legs, this will be the head. Like, did that help you in any way?
Uh, I didn't, retrofit objects, but I created from scratch. Yes, I used scrap material to make something, but not so much of retrofitting on the existing ones. Also, I made more of products than figurines. Of course, I mean, I made figurines and characters for my animation projects, but I also pursued a lot of self-initiated projects, which were mostly for material explorations and product designing. So yeah, that was from scratch.
Yeah. And when it comes to design, like let's say whether be it your the cups you make, the vases you have, and like all the different products that you have on your website, which I've gone through. Uh, this is something I ask all the people from art. Like when you start from scratch, there's a white paper, right? Whether be it you are painting or thinking about. So, like, do you have something on your mind that it like do you start like drawing something and then that comes to your mind, or like how does things happen, like how do you come like come to a conclusion that my cup should look like this, like it should have that curve feature in the bottom or something like that, like how do you get that initiative, like how do you get that insight? Because sometimes people they look at different things and then they combine and then do that. Some people they just look at some white paper, spend some time, and then they come up with something which is like unique. So how is that process for you?
For me, it works through experiences and observations. I believe that creativity is a way of living. It's not a eureka moment where you feed your brain with a brief and comes up with a solution. I believe it's a way you train your mind to see things, to connect things, and then you just, because you're able to have this practice over time, your brain is able to make these connections much quicker, and then we feel that, oh, because I wanted to think about this, I came up with this solution. But that's not the case. And for this, we need a lot of varied experiences as well. So most often what I do is, if there's any kind of brief that's coming to me, I usually just feed in my mind that this is something that I want to achieve, and then the solution might come anytime. It's basically more subconscious. It could come in 2 hours as well. It could come after 3 months as well, or I don't know how. And but if I have to do it consciously as well, I think for me the function and the purpose is more important. What is it? And then once I have that defined, I go to the attributes, that what are the attributes or what the context in which it is going to be used, that is going to derive or contribute towards that function that I want to achieve. And I think once we have all these objective pointers around the brief, it just helps to put all the things together and somehow a form gets created.
I understand now that like you have all the things laid down. Okay, fine. The what is the like purpose of this thing, like which I'm going to create or something like that. And like slowly when you go through like everyday life, I feel like some or the other things, because you have that in your subconscious, it kind of correlates and you feel like, oh, and then somehow people kind of correlate it with the eureka moment and they feel it like it is something like eureka, but you need to consciously every single day try for that instead of waiting or maybe like trying to stare at a blank paper, I guess. So uh
Yes.
moving on, can you tell like a little bit about your project where you formulated the Tatva mix? Because usually when it comes to project, whether that's engineering or design, uh, first of all, we what we do is we figure out what kind of problems we want to like solve. But essentially, when innovations like happen, it's mostly based out of curiosity than trying to solve a problem or to like submit an assignment or something like. It's usually driven by curiosity rather than external validation or something like that. So how, like, what was the process for you, and how did you think about let's do this, let's give this a shot?
It actually began when I was pursuing my master's in industrial design at NID in the ceramic and glass design discipline. So I saw that all of us are doing assignments as students, and our seniors did similar assignments. We are doing similar. Our juniors would do similar. So more or less, we are going through a similar journey. Of course, which I understand as a organized educational institute, that is how it usually happens. We can't cater to every student individually. But as an individual, I kept questioning myself, how was I going to add value to this whole ecosystem? If all of us are doing similar things, what will I do differently? And plus, with ceramic as a material, it's so deep, it's so natural and variant that people who have spent even 20 years with the material in the industry, it's still so fascinating to them. It's so new every day that every conversation ends with करके देखना पड़ेगा. Nobody can really pinpoint and say कि this is going to be the result of this composition or this process. So I was at a juncture where I had to decide if I want to move forward with uh, learning those skills of the craft of working with the material, or should I focus on deciding how to approach a project and find the right solution? And whenever I have to execute something on ground, I can always collaborate with someone who has those hands-on skills. So because I had already worked so much with paper as a material and a few other things as well, I somehow didn't want to go in deeper with the material, hands-on part of the material. So, and I also saw that as design students, we work, so many of us work together on different projects, right? So, not many of them actually even became a prototype. Forget about reaching the market or just even becoming a pilot in the society. And a lot of times it happens that because we are creators, any kind of creative industry, being a creator, we feel that because I can create something, I would make my own version of an existing product. And that is what we also see in the market. There are 100 different versions of the same product. While they may or may not add value to how we use them. So I thought there still has to be some meaning of what I do. So this question kept tinkering of how I'm going to add value. And then we visited this industrial ceramic production hub for our industrial visit course uh, during the industrial design program. And there we saw these heaps of production rejects from ceramic manufacturers that were just thrown on the roadside of in every lane outside the factories. And that was my epiphany moment to realize that archaeology is actually based on this fact that this pile of waste is never going to biodegrade. Earlier, of course, I saw a lot of archaeological shows on TV, but never really clicked that, oh, what I'm making is always going to stay here, even if somebody uses it or not, or it goes to waste. So, in that moment during the industrial visit, I thought when I convocate and join an industry, I will be the one who is going to contribute to this waste because every season we have to come up with new collections, and testing those collections for manufacturing itself would generate waste. And then in the manufacturing process as well, there would be so much waste nobody can control. So I will be the one who is going to contribute to this in a few years now. And I didn't want that. And I thought, so, and because I was so inclined towards material always, I thought, why not try using this to make something new again? And hopefully it would help saving resources and maybe something universal that all of us can use and continue making what we are making, but use less resources. So that was the whole moment and idea and journey to reach that point.
And also the thing that you are getting this raw material, like heaps of raw material to test, and you don't have to pay anything, like. And that is like, I mean, you have, if you have like so much raw material, you are not afraid of like failing, or like, because you can always use that and try a new batch, right? So tell us, like, how many batches did it take for you to probably figure out that like इतनी मात्रा में ये डालेंगे, इतनी मात्रा में ये डालेंगे, तो है ना ये बनेगा. And like, how was that process? How many cups did you break to get the final batch of Tatva mixer? Yeah.
I think I have lost the count, but it would definitely be more than 100. Uh, yeah, and of course, I mean, I tried from 10% of recycled content to 90% and everything in between. There are multiple manufacturing processes of ceramic products. We tried all of them, failed almost in all of them. One fortunately worked out, which I was hesitant to try in the beginning, but because nothing else was working out, I thought, okay, let me try this as well. And interestingly, that worked since the first trial itself. Of course, we had to optimize it further, but at least it showed positive results that we can actually work with this process with so much of recycled content. So, yeah, wow. I think it was around 8 to 9 months of testing to get the first prototype.
Wow, that must be intense, because if you're not seeing a ray of light anywhere near, it feels so gloomy, right? Like, am I going in the right path? Am I heading in the right direction? Or maybe I should just, try a new project in this side. And if this doesn't work out, I'll submit that project or something like that. Did you ever think something like that?
So fortunately, I think this is also for all the students that our graduation projects I see as our last opportunity to explore what we want to explore and in our own way of finding the right solution, because everybody has their own way of approaching a problem and coming up with a solution. And perhaps maybe when we convocate and join an organization, they will also have some SOPs to approach a particular problem. So graduation projects are, I think, the best phase for all the students to explore, try, and they have a safety net to fail, because even if they fail, they can show the whole process, and through that learning, they can definitely and hopefully get a good job if that doesn't work out.
Understand. I totally understand that. And I feel like sometimes like that the fear of failure is what stops us from trying that extra mile or trying to explore new things. And then maybe when that doesn't work out, or we have that fear, we try for like let's try something in the side, or like let's do that some other time or something like that. uh anyway, so tell us about like you started this initiative, and how was like the first, like you said, as design students, everyone has their own version, but you wanted to see like what value does it add specifically to the market. This cup could be a little taller or shorter, but that doesn't add us like a significant value as to why somebody should buy it. Like everybody is having their own version. It should be a little wider, a little thinner. Some people said we should have left-handed mugs. Why do we have right-handed mugs? We can talk about that later. But that is not a significant reason for somebody to spend with a company and buy their products on and on regularly, right? And that is why I wanted to create a very unique value. And obviously the archaeological aspects, if let's say the world ends, they are going to find Tatva's mug somewhere in the world. That is one thing for sure. So, how did you approach the marketing side of things? How did you approach the branding side of things, and made sure that people see value in it and people actually buy? Because, like I said before starting the podcast, that if 1,000 rupees can buy me like 10 kilos of recycled plastic, and that 1,000 rupees can buy me more than 10 kilos of like pure plastic, as a desi mentality, we would always go for the things which are going to give us more mileage, or give us more quantity. So how do you kind of justify that or approach marketing and branding of that product?
So with branding first, my idea was that it has to be an amalgamation of an English word and an Indian word. And interestingly, I came across this term Earth Tattva during one of our brainstorming sessions with the discipline, where we were thinking about a name for a symposium for our discipline of ceramic and glass design, which was completing 50 years at the institute. So that time, one of the juniors has suggested this name for the event. It didn't get selected for the event, but the name stayed with me because it is so well resonating with what we do with the material. It's a earth element, right? And it also worked well with what I wanted to have as a name for if I ever start something. So and fortunately the domain name was also available, so I quickly took it. So that was one. And second, I also didn't want any kind of direct, or we may also say stereotypical terms in eco-friendly organizations like eco or green. Of course, earth is still there. That may also be considered as stereotype to some extent. But I think it also resonates very well with our material. So I was okay with that. So that was first, the name. Second, in terms of branding, this again going back to our foundation and basics of color theory, what we were taught in design, that brown is a color that emanates friendliness and trustworthiness as a color. And because I knew that the market is filled with a lot of greenwashing, I first wanted the customers to trust us that we are genuinely making something that is actually helping or maybe having a positive impact on the ecosystem. So that's why no green anywhere. It's actually very brown. There's no color as well. And also that comes from my background of adding value, because a lot of times we see products that don't add any functional value, but they are just are available in a lot of colors, which are most often not required. It should work well. That is what it is meant to do. So that's why no colors as well, only monocolor brown color, and it actually has helped us to really connect with the audience, and they trusting us and looking at us as a authentic brand. So that happened second. And in terms of marketing, yes, we have placed our products in the premium range. There are two reasons for it. One is conscious and one is not so controllable. The second one, which is not controllable, is the economies of scale. We are still operating at a smaller scale. Like a lot of the conventional audience is used to getting very cheap ceramic mugs. Let's not call it cheap, maybe affordable, for example. So, because affordable is also subjective, but still, let's call it affordable. Now, those mugs that we buy in any kind of supermarket are manufactured at a scale of 50,000 pieces in a single day. That's the scale where it's being operated, with around 5 or 10 tons of material being consumed to make those materials every single day. We are not making that even in 1 year in that quantity. So obviously the economics are not going to be the same. Second, uh, as we were discussing, that the conventional products are available in so big quantity at the same price. But what happens is that because ceramics is also fragile, or it could also go to affordability, that because it is available at such an affordable price, and I can have that affordability of buying multiple of them, we as humans unfortunately don't respect anything that comes easy. So if a mug is for 80 rupees and I have a spending capacity of maybe 100 or 150 rupees, if it breaks by any chance, I would not feel anything about it at all, because I can just buy a new one. It is so affordable. And in that process, I actually generate more waste, irrespective of it being biodegradable or not. And when we buy something that is of good value, we are very conscious of using, and we also enjoy it. And we unfortunately respect it only because it's expensive, and we try to safeguard it and use it for as long as possible, and that extends the life of it in general, because it's reusable. And then it also reduces the waste generation and the manufacturing that is required for the same person for multiple products. So that was the idea of marketing it at a premium price, and also connecting it with the right audience who understands the value of the material. Because for us, there's one more challenge. It's not just recycled, it's not visible as well. Visually, you can't make out if it's made out of recycled or not. So that's why we need a good branding so that people actually trust us, and also connecting to the right audience who understand that it's okay if it is not looking recycled, but I know it's actually made out of recycled material, so I would want to use it. Because we are also getting a lot of these feedback from maybe conventional market, where people say ki this doesn't even look like recycled, why would I buy it? So that's a different segment which we may not be able to cater right now, but that's how the journey begins.
Uh, that is so interesting. You mentioned the point that sometimes you value just because it is a little more costlier, a little more pricey. Similar to like those pens, you remember, I'm sure, like some people, they use it for like signing the checks, and like it's a little costly, it's a little fancy. I don't know which brand, then they use it for signing, and then they use it like they keep it very nice, they keep it very clean. And these 5 rupees pens, we are throwing it everywhere. It's in the pocket, it's in like somewhere. And we don't even care. Like even if it's not over, we just be like, I can buy another one, right? So that sort of thing is there. uh, so one of the question was like, you mentioned about the green thing, so that is already out of the way. That everyone is trying to use the green, the eco, and you strategically didn't have that, and that somehow resonated with your brand. And also your products are made out of ceramic, but somehow I feel like the brown, the the mud, like it's all related to the pottery and all that side of things. So that is somehow I feel like related to your brand, although you're dealing with ceramics. So that is one thing. Other than that, there are a lot of other eco businesses in the industry, right? There's eco bags, eco plastic bags, eco jute bags, and lots other things like eco crockery. Can eco-friendly businesses be sustainable or even profitable? Is one of the um, questions that I think most entrepreneurs would have. Uh, Also, with like everybody trying to be on the next Shark Tank, or trying to get the next funding. So, what are your thoughts on like getting funding or bootstrapping? And also, can eco-friendly businesses be profitable or something like that? Do you ever think about these things?
Yes, definitely. So, let's start with funding. I think if someone is actually starting as a student, there are so many government support systems that help you actually get these grants just on the basis of a good concept as well. You don't even need any physical or even digital working kind of a model. Just for your concept, you get a grant to actually turn that concept into a MVP, which is a minimum viable product. If you are able to actually achieve that, you can then perhaps maybe apply for another grant based on which you will turn that MVP into a prototype, a working prototype, and maybe pilot it as well. And through this, you might actually start earning revenue as well. And then it's up to the entrepreneur what kind of journey they want to take, whether they want to remain bootstrapped and have a full control of how they want to move ahead. They can raise investment as well, take support of the investors from that particular sector so that they can actually help to scale the whole initiative that they have taken. Uh, so, and or maybe just take debt as well from the bank or maybe any private sources, and then take their initiative forward. So there are multiple ways. It depends on what kind of approach we want as an entrepreneur, how much control we want, how much network we need, and how skilled we are. Because a lot of times it happens if somebody is an innovator, they have challenges in being an entrepreneur. If someone is an entrepreneur themselves, but what do they sell then? Maybe both of them come together as co-founders and then they have a better journey. So that way, it's all a personal decision, I think. But all the ways are they have their own pros and cons. That's why we have to decide what kind of journey we want to lead.
So, how has your like initially you mentioned that you were dealing with paper and you didn't want to get into the like the material because then the product like hardly sees the day of light, and it only remains in theory and everything. So you probably went with people who are already experienced with the product, with the material, and you also started experimenting, and then the business and everything. So how has your life kind of changed, or is it still the same with the running business? And like how has the team increased, or it's still the same? And like you changed the factory, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, the chasing and adventure is still goes on. Our journey has been quite adventurous and maybe not as fast in terms of returns or success, but we are definitely moving in the right directions. And all our products so far have been tested, and we are getting good reviews from the existing users. Now we are focusing on how do we really get more users or reach out to the right audience, because the product is still very niche. So we can't just quickly reach out to anyone and it will get converted. It's still a very long process for us to get conversions. But yeah, definitely. If and it could, I mean, we don't know what exactly the situation is. Maybe the sector that we are dealing with is challenging by itself. Maybe I am myself not a great entrepreneur, and that's why maybe the process is so challenging. We don't know what the reality is, or maybe both of these things. But yeah, a green venture can actually become profitable, definitely. And it will have so many factors that how what kind of entrepreneur we are, what kind of idea, and what's time are we coming up with the innovation. Because even if it's before its time, people don't like it. Because we had actually, I remember my friend was using EV when we were in school. but that really didn't pick up because that time nobody was aware about this.
So the timing really matters, because nowadays I'm sure everybody is like EV, but probably that I'm sure when you were in school, probably I was in middle school, or so we probably didn't know that, we always probably thought, ek zamana hoga jab hai na, vehicles will move with electricity, but now it's turning into reality. So might be that, you are ahead of your time, or might be the situation is a little challenging. But have you ever thought that, like you want to stay like as a brand yourself, or maybe like this is what people in art also do, is that they reach out to companies, and like I'm sure you're aware of those calendars when people, in organizations, they gift it to everyone as a gifting partner or something like that. So have you gone through that route, or have you like explored that route, in terms like when companies, when new people join, or when universities even, they give you the gift bag and everything, that you want to go that route, or you just want to be like a brand in yourself, like we have a specific brand, like they're in themselves, they don't do these, gifting and everything. So have you thought about that?
Yes, oh, we definitely do a lot of corporate gifting in bulk because I think there are these organizations who are moving towards being completely green as much as possible. And for them, and almost every organization has a mug as a mandate to be given. So fortunately, that becomes our good market where we offer them the same product but with better materials. So it becomes a good addition to their own purpose as well of gifting a recycled ceramic mug to their team members. And yes, most of these mugs go into new joining kits as well, and maybe for a lot of events for gifting. So we definitely do that. And then when they go there, they are also not white label. They are still under our branding. We still personalize it with that corporate's logo, but there is a branding of our company on that product and the packaging. So that, and how we propose to these clients is that if we don't add our branding to it, how will that organization add credibility that this is actually a recycled ceramic mug? Because when they add our branding and we only deal with this material, that is how it adds to the credibility of the product. So that's why it has been working where we have our own branding as well as personalize it with these corporates. And we also reach out to the end consumers through D2C channels and uh, help them to make better choices with their tableware.
Perfect, perfect. So I was going through your LinkedIn, and there's this quote mentioned, this Japanese quote, that if others can't do it, then you should do it. There is this opposite version. This is always this is something that I always hear in India. We says, if nobody has done it, you should never do it. So
Okay, so
how do you think about it?
yes, so basically the whole quote goes like, if others can do it, you can do it too. If none can do it, you must do it. And the other version that you were mentioning is that if others can do it, let them do it. If none can do it, how can you do it?
Perfect,
But yeah,
perfect.
I think it's a analogical quote to what we have in India, where it says that be the change that you want to see in the world. And that's how, if just because others are not able to do it doesn't mean you can't do it. You have, because maybe nobody approached it in a way that we are wanting to see the problem. And how I see it is that everything around us is made by humans. If other humans can do it, we can also do it. It's just that we should be interested enough to pursue it.
Perfect. And I feel like that is maybe someone like an innovator, somebody who's trying something new. That is the challenge, or that is something, they face, that, like a lot of people have tried. They have not uh, been able to crack it. So why are you doing it? And that's the inverse analogy that you use, which I feel is like, that gives all the more reason to try it, that, if nobody has done it, then let me do it and figure it out. So that is phenomenal. And is that something you tell your team all the time, that, to not shy away from failure or try new products? I mean, like you have a launch of the new product Tatva stick as well. So I'm sure this somehow plays into your team as well, where they are always experimenting, always trying something new. and not maybe stick to like one product or two products at the most. So tell me, how does that resonate with your team and also the a new product that you have online?
Definitely. In fact, both of these things are related where we had one basic composition for these Tatva sticks, which are the underglazed crayons. Uh, Maybe got from someone in the industry, got a reference from them, and maybe a few notes from the videos available online. And we were trying those compositions, but they were not working as the desire that we had in terms of the quality. And while I was not around at the studio, our team member who is taking care of the technical aspects of the material, he came up with his own composition by his own initiative, uh, to see if we can make the composition better, we can make the performance as we desire it to be. And it worked. And I didn't even know that this was actually happening at the studio while I was not there. So I think definitely it does resonate that if others are not able to do it, or if it's not being there right now, doesn't mean we can't do it, or it shouldn't exist. Maybe that what we were trying was not enough, maybe the direction has to be changed and the initiative has to be taken. So yeah, I think I'm fortunate that it's resonating with the team as well.
I feel like when we talk about mugs, crayons, the feeling that we associate is very abstract. We can't measure it on a thermometer or like some sort of meter, right? When you're using a cup, we feel like ये mug से चाय पीने का मजा ही कुछ और. And we have similar things when we use certain types of pencils or certain types of pens. And if somebody's into design, they already know, Camlin or Faber-Castell or any other brand, they have that unique feeling and they want it from that. So how do you try to incorporate, or like how do you decide that, this with this design, with this product, my customers, my users are going to get the feeling, because this is very abstract, right? How do you make sense of that on a like production side, on a design side, and like the experience side?
So we can have a few objective parameters on it. One is that it has to work on any surface. Second, the colors that appear after firing have to be bright enough, and it has to work with all the glazes. So that's how our brief evolved into. And then after a lot of testing, we have finally figured out what works and how we can offer it to the customers. And also, a lot of times it happens that while using such products, they might break because they might fall or anything could happen. So these Tatva sticks are such that if anything happens to them in terms of breakage, the users can actually soften them using water and then actually remake them in their own shape, however they want, whether they want them to be pointed or just blunt or any kind of shape, and they can reuse it. There's almost going to be zero waste with it.
So it's almost like a clay, but then it's like a crayon.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. So, as I was going through your LinkedIn, there was this thing that you worked for as an art director for AIB, and then you also worked with Triple T or Tiny Tales, Tiny
Terribly
Tales,
tiny.
Delivery Tiny Tales. So, can you tell like how was your experience with them, and like what does an art director do with AIB? Because usually people think AIB is like comedy, some people might say profanity, and some other people might say even vulgarity. So jo bhi ho, how as an art person, like how was your engagement, and like do they really need art because their jokes are very good, right? Like or is it somewhere in the background that we don't realize the art coming into the picture?
So I was associated with them as a freelancer, where for one of their videos, we because they made a lot of videos back then, and for every video we need some kind of set design and props and not lighting technique. That's a different department, but all the props basically. And because I used to make so many products handmade with craft with different materials, so that's how I was able to contribute to that particular project.
Perfect. And yourself being, the founder, I feel like as you are responsible for the company, and you're also responsible for the the people who work in the company, right? So how has your life in terms of discipline changed? Because probably when we are in college, we are only responsible for ourselves, and some people might be involved in games, movies, and we do not probably have a good sleep cycle as well. We're waking sometime, we're sleeping sometime. At least that is what my experience was. So how has that changed your life, or do you think uh, that self discipline has increased or decreased, or how has that been?
So fortunately, I was quite self-disciplined earlier as well. I think because of that self-discipline, I could pursue this project and maybe bring it to this stage. But I think I have relaxed a bit more after this because there's so much of responsibility at the work end that at the personal front, I think I have let myself relax a bit more. Because earlier I was a workaholic, and then slowly I have decided to cut down on those hours as much as possible. Though, of course, sometimes you have to stretch those hours as well, but I think not uh, stressing over so many things that are not out in your control. Because I've realized this because of this journey, that how much ever you want to get things done, they won't happen until they are meant to happen, because there are so many external factors. Maybe the vendor has not sent the material in time, or the electricity went off, you can't do anything, the machines won't work. There's traffic jam on the road, you can't reach on time even if you have left on time. So yeah, I just let things be by themselves, and it has just helped me to relax as much as possible. Otherwise, I mean, see, technically, if I keep working, the work is no anybody in this world, the work is never going to be over. So I think we have to draw that line somewhere for ourselves so that we don't burn out.
And how is your definition of success changed, or is it still the same? Because time and time, I'm not sure if your social media is like having all the Shark Tank reels, or like all the successful entrepreneurs from Better India. He started putting this farm, and within 1 year, crores of rupees, arabpati ban gaye, crorepati ban gaye. And I see like there's a lot of startups, but then having like all this social media being and you get news from everywhere, your friends are sharing. It's not like you're not happy for other people's success, but then somewhere it creates some mental pressure on you. Like, is that something you experience? And like, how do you define success for you now? Because uh, according to somebody, that's like a crore funding, somebody that's like revenue mein itna ho gaya, but next year you want to do like 2x of that or 10x of that. So now success, like the definition of success is changing. So how do you keep yourself like stable, normalized, at an equilibrium, so that regardless of what happens in the business, you are at center or something like that?
Two things. First, I don't use social media for my personal purpose. I only use it and forcefully use it because I have to promote the brand. Otherwise, I mostly don't use it. And I don't feel any FOMO for it. Second, and this is what it was years back as well before I had this journey. For me, success is if I'm able to sleep whenever I choose to sleep, wherever I choose to sleep. Do I get a sound sleep? If that is not the case, then something is wrong. It doesn't matter if it's wrong in terms of the monetary aspects of something, or maybe interpersonal relation, or maybe anything at all, or even if maybe I'm not eating well, but we need to get good sleep, then we are successful. It doesn't matter how much we are earning or whatever we are doing. Because I think, I mean, this is my personal take, that if money was just a solution for happiness, then everybody who has so much of money or they are celebrities, they would never ever have any kind of mental illness. But we know that's not true. So for me, this is the baseline.
So that's really great, because whether you have lots of money or you have no money, you have to sleep. I mean, like, if anybody is a human, and having that, you're having a sound sleep, and you only have a sound sleep, and you eat right, sleep right, breathe right, and you're having good interpersonal relationships with people. Maybe if the money isn't there or not there, uh, I mean, I don't think that affects a lot. But then if like all of these things are there, one has a really sound sleep. So if you have a really sound sleep, you are very much knowing that you're heading in the right direction, right? So
Also, in today's time, even after so much of, sorry, yeah, please continue.
yeah, you can go ahead.
I'm saying even in today's time with so much of inflation, we still don't need a huge amount of money to live a decent life. It's only because we in the urban society are always distracted with so many things that we feel that we need to spend on this or experience this, only then we will feel good. That's why we have so much of expenses. Otherwise, yeah, actually there's we can actually afford a very decent life without earning lakhs of rupees per month.
I totally agree, and I feel the same because when it comes to the podcast, I always think I need to get the best gear, I need to get this, I need to get that. But when I have that gear, I realize, why do I have it? Like I can, like I was working smoothly, I was working, everything was going done with the previous thing as well. But then somewhere in our mind, we feel, no, I need to have the best camera, I need to have the updated, this or that. Uh, now I feel like it looks a lot more clear. So, as we are moving to the end of the podcast and we are a little more over time, I want to end with three questions. We call them the perspective questions, so that we get a little perspective. The audience can get a little perspective into your psyche. So, are there any books or any three books you have read that have drastically changed the way you think, or you three books that you are currently reading that is helping you out?
So one is Steal Like an Artist. I just read it 2 days back actually. Then another is Innovators DNA, and the third one is The Idea Factory.
Perfect. So, if you could go maybe 5, 10 years back in time, and you could speak to the younger Shashank, or maybe there are younger Shashanks outside in the world, they're probably listening to you. If you believe in some sort of multiverse, parallel verse, whatever that is. So, what is a message that you would like to maybe give them? And they're trying to make some decision, they're trying to figure out life, that where am I headed? Do I want to take into the placements? Do I not want to take into the placement? Should I start something new? Am I starting something new just because others are starting something new? Like all of this thing is going on in their brains, and they're not trying to mix they're trying to make sense out of things. So what is maybe something that your message would be to the younger Shashanks out there?
Uh, this is from my own reflection, is that please be more open to experiences. Don't just keep doing what you enjoy doing. There are so many things and experiences to do in the same town, as you don't have to travel around the world. But if you don't like it, don't do it again, but just try it. Try many different new things. Uh, and Yes, I think that would it. Just be open to experiences, because otherwise, if we remain closed, it's there would be a time when we'll have to experience it, and then it will be too late by then that you will have to actually do it very consciously, rather than it becomes the nature then. If you are open to everything, it's okay, and you don't have to spend on these expensive experiences. These are actually almost free always. Just talk to a stranger maybe, or just do something because you want to do. Don't look for company, because I've seen a lot of my friends who wanted to maybe pursue some hobby, go to some class of sports or anything at all, which they wanted to learn, but they didn't join because they didn't have any company of their other friends who would join with them.
That's so on point, because I feel like a lot of times I have done the same thing, because we probably want to go to that drama class or something, but then we feel like, अरे यार यहाँ nobody's interested in drama. So should I actually go or not go? And I'm sure a lot of us have had that experience, and somewhere we look for company, but maybe we can find new friends over there. It's not like we are dealing
Exactly.
with aliens over there, right?
Aliens could be friends too.
Yeah, that is a possibility as well, right? So maybe Shashank, if there's a final message you want to give to the audience, to the people listening. There's a lot of college students. There's also people who are like in the eco business as well. What is something that you'd like to share as a final message, a signing off message?
So all of us, I think, need to have at least one pet project or self-initiated project that is something different than our core work or profession or academics. That really makes a whole lot of difference in our perspective, in our approach, in our network. It opens up network with different individuals in the society. And of course, the experience really helps us in our core work as well, eventually. So that self-initiated pet project is something that all of us should pursue at least once parallelly. If we have multiple of them, great.
So besides that Earth Tatva, do you have any like pet project as of now? I mean, besides the crayons are done for now. So like, do you have anything right now in the mind?
So I do a lot of collecting of these days of passes, of tickets, of anything. So any new experience I have, then I would just collect it as a ticket and put it in my scrapbook. So that have I've been doing over the years. And also second thing is I do a lot of documentation in terms of writing my day of whatever I did every day and come up with not come up with acknowledge two new experiences that I've had every day. And I've been doing this for, I think, around 11 years now, which just completely changes your perspective. And I realized this after 4 or 5 years of doing this, that it subconsciously helped me in articulating my thoughts better in a written form and over the years verbally as well. Earlier, I couldn't really write my own assignments as well. I used to take my friends' help. But since I started writing this journal in a way, it just helps so much.
Perfect, perfect. So, Shashank, it was great speaking with you. And for the people listening and watching, since we are almost time, this brings us to an end. So, if you want to check out our Tatva, I'll put all their links down below. Do check out their website if you want to order for your business, your corporate giftings, or even for your universities. You have any programs, feel free to reach out to them. And besides that, you can always check out their socials, follow, share. Even if you're not buying, it's good to share because someone who might be looking for them, they might come to know about the things from you. So it's always good to share when you come across good things. So that is, I think, the least that we can do from our end. So I guess that's it from my end. You have a great day. You guys know what to do. Stay blessed. Keep taking action. We both will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great speaking to you.